All right, so that is it for Scream 2022. And now we are going to go over to Amazon Prime with the Wheel of Time. Now, apart from the fact that it sounds for all the world like a game show.
Yes, strange. Yeah, makes more sense, I think, after
Well,
a few episodes.
yeah, I know. It just really, I mean, especially with the Amazon Prime Wheel of Time rhyming thing, it sounds for all the world like a game show. Sharon, tell us about this.
Well, Wheel of Time is what you would regard as an epic fantasy. So if you think of the Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones, if you think of the archetype, Lord of the Rings,
Yep.
and others, where these are things that are built on a large scale. And obviously, it's a series of books that have gone on for many years. I mean, I'm aware.
I believe there's 13 of them.
Yeah, they are. There's thousands of pages of backstory to this film. So we are entering into this world. I don't know what the world is called. It's just where you are. And
Yeah.
it starts off in this one particular village. It's like a mountain village. Everything looks a bit rural. Like all these epic fantasies, it's all set in like a quasi-medieval age with magic, where the girls wear long dresses and the men sort of have swords, and it's
Yeah.
all a bit pre-industrial. It's normally always a pre-industrial world. Maybe that speaks to our nostalgia. I don't know, but they normally always are pre-industrial.
Yeah, no,
And
I'm thinking that if they were any more modern, do they immediately become sci-fi?
yes, because they become alternative histories or science fiction. Yes, I suppose so.
Yeah, okay.
Fantasy tends to be, yeah,
Fantasy tends to be like, we've never heard of a car. It's
yeah.
all
It's
horse.
always
It's all horse and carriage.
it's always a pre-industrial age where they're all slightly um, agrarian. It's all like they support themselves by agriculture or by fighting.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so anyway, we come into this sort of like rural village where they're celebrating the end of the harvest. So it's and then there's almost sort of the threads of mythology that we recognise. So they're celebrating Beltane, which is like one of the old English, sort of celebrations at the end of the year, with all connected with the sun and all that malarkey. And so in this village, there's this sorceress arrives called Moraine, and she has been sent out on this 20-year mission. She doesn't appear to have aged. She's this sort of, middle-aged, not middle-aged, sort of like a ageless woman. She's got those sort of looks that don't really are defined. And she's there with her sort of male travelling companion. And everyone, when they see her, they go, "Oh, it's one of those." And she's this order of like women who channel this power, this earth power. And she has come looking for their thing called the Dragon Reborn. Now, 3,000 years before, the dragon was this magical sorcerer who tapped into dark magic and then caused this catastrophe, and everything went horribly wrong.
yeah,
And they've been worried about this Dragon Reborn because this person has the power to either remake things into a new wonderful world or to plunge the whole world into darkness and black magic.
yeah,
So they're looking for this person who is going to be either the savior or the antichrist, to use one of our terms.
yeah.
And so these people, and there's 5 potentials dragons in this one village. So she goes to this village to gather up these 5 people, to take them back to the White Tower, which is where this order of sorceresses live, to determine which one is the Dragon Reborn.
Yeah,
And so,
we will not call them the Bene Gesserets.
no. And they are divided into these orders, where there's like the red order, who they're military. There's the blue order, are like the spies and their reconnaissance. The yellow order are like the healers, and the green order are people who, they channel sort of different powers. I forget what they're.
Yeah, I mean, so far, I mean, these are all sort of tropes that sound familiar, that have
Yes.
you would have gotten in like different other kinds of fantasy. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, you reviewed The Witcher season 2, and
Yeah.
it seems like some of these tropes you hear are there as
Yeah.
well.
I think a lot of these books, where they've been written in the last sort of 50 years, they've also like feed off each other. So you do get elements where you think, yeah, this is sort of like the blurring of the lines between these fantasy worlds. Especially these epic fantasies that stretch over a number of books,
Yeah,
because they sort of build their own mythology and they sort of draw in all these different elements. And so basically the story is, the travels of these 5 people to you determine over the course of this first season which one is the Dragon Reborn. And
Ah.
there are dark forces and forces of light, and then there are people who you're not quite sure which side they're on. So it largely is sort of like black hat, white
So
hat.
so
You've
what you're
got
saying is that you're saying there's a dark side and there's a light side and there's one person in the middle who could go either way.
exactly. Have we heard that
of
one?
this and there's this energy that holds the world together, and maybe a force.
A force.
Uh,
Yeah. And yes, and there's yes, and the dark side can basically fulfill all your deepest desires, and it will tap into your most innermost secrets.
yeah.
And the light will show you the way and let you do things.
Okay.
So it's an epic fantasy, so that's all I can really say without going into hideous minutiae of detail.
Yeah, and from what I can get, with there being 13 books and everything like this, and this being a multi sort of $1 million TV series, there's a lot of detail that can be gone into. So obviously I've been a bit sort of disparaging comparing to other things. I don't mean to be disparaging. I'm just trying to say that this is the kind of thing it is, and there's going to be a lot of tropes. And I think what makes these things stand apart is not whether they have the tropes or not, but it's how well they do it and if they do anything different with it. So apart from the fact that Rosamund Pike sounds like perfect casting for the kind of character that you mentioned, who doesn't age or anything like that, what did you think of this?
Yeah, well, I do read epic fantasy, and I do like watching it. It is one of the things, if I think, oh, what's on? I look for science fiction, I look for fantasy, I look for historical drama. So I do like that sort of probably classic escapism when I watch television and film. So for me, I enjoyed it. It made me curious about the books, but the thought of sort of starting another 13 series books, I'm thinking, you can see some of the books behind me, but you can't see all of the books in this room. And I just think, if I start on another series, I'll just one day there's going to be an avalanche and I'm just going to be buried under this sort of massive paper. So
it's like, here lies Sharon Bolan. She died doing what she loved.
Yeah. Death by epic fantasy. Yeah. And the odd Regency romance.
Right, cool.
So I can see, so it did appeal to me on those sort of different levels. So, but I would say, yes, it appealed to me. I thought it was very well done, as you would expect. They've thrown the money at this. So they have done this, the effects have done really well. So when they do conjure this magic, it looks quite, if you go, when you first see them when they're doing all this, swirling their arms about and thinking, you must, because we watch so many films, you can't help but slightly sort of look at it, you can distance yourself from it a little bit. And I was thinking, when you're filming that, you must feel a real twit when you're doing it. And no one can see anything because they haven't put the effects in there. And so I can't help feeling that sometimes when I see them doing all these gyrations. I'm thinking, you must feel like a real twit when you do that.
I was actually listening to an interview earlier today with Lupita Nyong'o and about the 355, and she was saying essentially that you feel like it's like because they just say, oh, just do something, and she's like, well, I feel like an absolute idiot, and then and how she has to take her mind to a place where what she's doing makes sense. To do that, it's like there's a logic behind it to actually make those happen.
Yeah. So when you are drawing this light in and forming like a ball and then throwing that ball, you're not just going, oh, I hope I've got the right side.
What direction? General direction. Wafted that way.
But I'm not looking a bit vague. Oh. So taking that aside, I thought they had put the money into it. They had put the casting were spot on. I think sometimes I'm not sure whether, because I haven't read the books, whether sometimes the choices that some of the characters, I'm thinking, is that a character choice? Is that what the character is like? Or is that where I'm thinking, are you a bit stiff because the character's a bit stiff, or is that because the actor's a bit stiff? So occasionally there were those moments, but on the whole, I thought they did it really well.
Okay.
Yeah, so I enjoyed it. So I would certainly say it's definitely worth a 4 for your fantasy fans, and that it is worth checking out. And it does hold its own against, other sort of epic fantasies. I don't know if it's going to be as broadly appealing as say Game of Thrones, because that did like cross over into like the mass audience.
Yeah.
I think this is probably a bit too twiddly.
Okay.
The technical term. To appeal to people who are not really into fantasy is their main thing, because it does have a lot of exposition about, this is what this is all about, and they drop in information that you think, I've got no idea what that means, but I know it's significant for probably another event.
But the truth is that I agree with you. I don't think it's going to be as I don't think it's going to have as wide an appeal as Game of Thrones, because I don't think anything is going to have as wide. Yeah. Game of Thrones has taken that spot. Nothing is, even the Game of Thrones sequel series that they're making this year, it's not going to do anywhere near as good as Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones has done it. People have. Yeah. I think people still have their fantasy fill from that. It's going to take a while before something else comes along. But even then, I was shocked that Game of Thrones got as big as it did, because the first couple of episodes is just an exposition dump.
It's telling you everything about the world you live in, in explaining absolutely everything. But the books are very wordy. I mean, they're 1,000+ pages each.
Yeah,
book.
I would imagine that. So, how many stars would you give? Oh, you said 4.
I would certainly give it 4.
Okay, cool.
4. I think it did its job well, and it told the story as a complex, massive. It did it well.
Good stuff.